October 13th, 1985. On Friday night, a comedian died in New York.
When I first heard of a new Watchmen movie slated to come out in 2024, my first reaction probably mirrored a lot of yours. Why? And now, having watched chapter 1 of hopefully 2, my question remains the same. Why? Why did we need to see another adaptation of Watchmen? While being one of the most celebrated comics ever created, we've never really been short of adaptations or, well, stuff mildly tangentially related to Watchmen ever since its inception. We've had the Zack Snyder movie, which is a thing. We've had a motion comic, which is very faithful to the Watchmen series. We had an HBO show, which takes aspects of the comic and sequelizes it. And throughout all that, I have to ask why. I mean, the comics also haven't stopped referencing and making stuff based off of Watchmen. We had the Before Watchmen series, which I've never read. We had Doomsday Clock, which is, well, it's bad minus the Gary Frank art. And we had Tom King's Rorschach, which actually does some interesting things with Watchmen, but technically a lot of the elements related to it could probably be removed and we would have still an interesting story regardless. But with all that being said, why this? Usually when I review one of these movies, I put it in the title of my video, no spoilers. I'm obviously not going to do that this time because it's a Watchmen movie, and honestly, after having seen chapter 1, yeah, there's really no reason to do it. This is very faithfully following the plot of the comic. It starts with the comedian's murder and for the moment ends with Rorschach's arrest, with some snippets of Hollis Mason's book and Janie Slater's interview playing throughout the credits. Now, I should probably talk about some of the positives. I did notice that, Dan Gibbons was mentioned in the credits, so hopefully he got paid. Hopefully. The art is, well, it feels like an upscale Telltale game. I didn't mind it. I don't know if everyone will like it, but I think it was okay. It was very polished. The voice acting is fine. I think the established actors are very good. I do feel the voice actor for Rorschach, well, he did the narration parts passably, but he could not do the voice for Rorschach properly at all. It felt more like he was doing a Wolverine impression than actually Rorschach. I have some other gripes as well, at some point the voice acting is very wooden for characters like the comedian and Ozymandias, who isn't that heavily featured in this. Yes, Dr. Manhattan is fine, but then again, his voice acting is meant to be slightly stilted, so I can't really tell. And I know some of you have questions regards to this. Do they include the Black Freighters segments? Yeah, they do. And on one hand, I like the way they kind of included them. I think there was no real better way to do it. But at the same time, I have to wonder, it reminded me of a YouTube video, it's not too different from something I would do. which is not something I think you're supposed to take away when you're watching a movie. Honestly, I'm kind of struggling here. I want to be a bit more fair to this. Honestly, like, if you have never read the Watchmen comic, like, I can't judge you. Like, I saw Zack Snyder's adaptation first. I watched the motion comic first before I actually managed to read Watchmen, so no judgment. You could check this out. It's not poorly made. The only thing that I have to ask is, why? Why make it as all? And funnily enough, while I was watching the movie, I think I hit upon an answer. Watchmen has always been held in high regard amongst, like, readers as one of the best. Like, oh, it's the comic book that you'd suggest to non-comic book readers. So it's reaching that point, right? It's the comic book that everybody has seen the movie or the TV show about, but hasn't actually read. Like, a lot of, like, you heard people, like, watch the Dracula movies but never actually read Dracula. Yeah, that's where we're going with Watchmen. Like, there will be people who have never read the comic but will have watched movie adaptations or played the video games or watched the HBO series. I mean, I guess that's something. It shows that Watchmen is being held in high regard. I mean, I just, like, that's only my thoughts, but if there's any other reason to justify this thing existing, I don't know. Hi, this is me recording this while I was editing, and something else struck me about this adaptation right now. It's the bare bones of everything. Like, there is, yeah, all the major plot beats are hit with some lip service to things happening around it, but there isn't much soul to it. A lot of the atmosphere is gone. Some of the more questionable dialogue is also missing. A lot of the parts that made Watchmen are missing from this adaptation. That's why it feels so empty. Yes, I still say if you've never watched or read Watchmen before, you might get something out of this. But after that, I will recommend checking out the comic if this movie managed to pique your interest.
I thought I knew how the world was, but then I found out about